So why would you want to do an endo around a corner? Well, this is probably the perfect example to let me demonstrate just why. I've already ridden it, I've come in, and I really struggled to get around it. Let me just show you how tight it is. If I place the bike into it, you can actually see that my back wheel's there, and the turning space that you have is the wheelbase of the bike. It's really tight to get around, and you might not actually make it. The side's falling away, there's no banking there, and you're not going to get into that next section with any sort of speed or flow. The principle of the endo is to lift up that rear end using your hips and a little bit of front brake. It's exactly the same whether you've got flat pedals, clip pedals, a hardtail or full suspension. It's all about technique. The first thing though is find yourself a flat bit of terrain, car park, or we've got this road here, and just practice the basics until you get them nailed. You want to roll in just about jogging pace, and it's all about the movement in the hips. You want to duck over the back, drive through and over the front, and that's going to lift your back end right up. To dial in that technique, initially we're not going to use any front brake. We're going to think about that hip movement. So if you imagine that you dip on the bike, come up slowly, and you drive forward with the hips. It's almost like an opposite L shape that Donnie uses when he teaches you how to manual. I'm just going to roll in at jogging pace. Going to drop those hips, up and forward, up and forward, up and forward. Once you've got that hip movement absolutely dialed, you want to think about bringing in the front brake. Not too much front brake, however, as it will pitch you over the handlebars. Just lightly tap it and then release it when you're at your balance point. Practice this a lot, start to feel really comfortable, and don't come in too fast. The key to this is all about timing, so come in at walking pace, dab that front brake as you're pushing up and forward with the hips, and that's really just the key. If you do feel that you're starting to go over or you're losing your balance, just release that front brake and lean backwards. So once you've nailed those two techniques, the next step that you're going to want to involve is actually moving your hips around, steering a little bit with the front wheel, and you're going to get that back end around 90 degrees. Compared to the straight endo, it's slightly different. You want to turn your hips almost diagonally, push the bike out. You want to steer it just a little bit with the front wheel. Back up at that corner, you can really see how that turning endo gives you some space. Let me just demonstrate it to you. So I'm going to just lift the back end round. It's not going to really move that much. You can see already that when I get off the brakes, I've got way more space to come out. I'm setting up for that next section. So coming into this turn, from back there, I've actually identified that it's a really tight switchback. That's the first step. You're then going to think about your braking points, really starting to slow down. You might have to dig those heels in to really slow the bike down, especially in this terrain when it's falling away and it's not that grippy. Coming into it, you're going to identify where you're using that endo. You don't want to be using it on this rock or on this root. The front wheel's just going to drop, and the likelihood is that you're going to lose balance and not be in control. When you get down a little bit further, you want to think about a flat surface, somewhere that when you touch that front brake to lift the back end round, then it's actually going to dig in and you're going to have grip. So somewhere around just this sort of area right here. Remember, being on that steeper terrain compared to the car park at the bottom, you're not going to have to lift the back end up quite as much. So just lift it up a little bit, touch that front brake if you need to, and swing the hips round so you're getting the back end just somewhere about here. It's straightening you up, and then you're coming out, looking ahead into the next section, and that's going to carry your speed and also your flow. It's not only just tight switchbacks that you can actually use the endo hop round, you can actually use them on sort of quite open ones like this. On the outside, there's something that you could catch your pedal on. If you just use that hop, unweight the back and lift it around, you're going to set up and you're going to clear that. Likewise, with the roots from the beginning, you not really want to go into turn on them, and just that little hop, when you find your grip in the front wheel, it's going to set up wide and you're not going to be turning or losing the back end. There's a couple of options how you could attack this turn. The simplest would be to stay low and you've got a full 180 sweeping turn. It's really tight at the bottom, you're not going to have much flow and you're not going to be carrying much speed. The other option is to come up, set up high, and we're going to use that endo technique. This is quite an advanced corner, and you're really going to have to think about where you're going to be braking, using that front brake right at the top, swinging the back round, and that's actually going to allow you to straighten up this whole section. You've only got to think about 190-degree turn at the end. You'll be carrying more speed, more flow, and you'll be much easier and able to attack the next section. This is quite an advanced technique. Remember, you don't actually have to endo around every switchback, but hopefully you'll be feeling more comfortable with those really tight ones. Anyway, whilst you're here, why not check out some more great videos on GMBN? You can click just up there to get to Cornering the Comprehensive Guide, Or if you want to ride switchbacks, click down there. Don't forget to click on the globe to subscribe, and why not check out the shop as well and pick up some goodies.